Hello there, guys. Today I'm going to be introducing you to a game by the name of Reus. It's a 2D god game where you control four big giants. A giant of water, a giant of rock, a giant of forest, and a giant of swamp. These giants help you turn an empty planet into a habitable one with a little terraforming. The ocean giant creates oceans which support two of the three biomes that are possible, the third being the desert, which obviously does not require any water. In these biomes, your giants can create resources. Food, tech, and gold are the primary ones. There's some secondary stuff that you need to worry about as well, but those three are the important main resources to worry about. And you can take control over nature to create these things through plants and animals and minerals, but what you can't control is the humans that eventually inhabit this world. They'll kind of just pop up whenever you create a biome that can support them, basically just a biome with one of any kind of natural resource in it. The main idea of the game is to take care of these humans' needs. They'll build structures with certain requirements, and you'll have to put down the right things to fill those requirements. You might, for example, get a granary that requires a certain amount of food in order to complete, or a market that requires a certain amount of gold in order to complete. So to do that, you'll place down things that will give that food or give that gold, or sometimes a combination of both. The system seems rather simple at a first glance, but in order to maximize resources, you have to pay attention to things like symbioses, which every single resource in the game has one, and it'll be something like if you place this blueberry plant beside a chicken, it'll get you more food. And then there's also the upgrading of these animals and plants and minerals. You need to upgrade them by using different abilities from different giants and then upgrading them, and then those new plants will have their own symbioses, and you'll need to figure out what the best way to place them is. So that kind of micromanagement gets somewhat troublesome in itself, but there's other things to worry about too. If a village grows too fast, it gets greedier and greedier. And at a certain point, if you let them get too greedy, they'll start to attack other villages, and if there's none left to attack, they'll attack your own giants. To deal with this greed, you can either just not grow a village too fast, or you can counteract the greed in a few different ways, including placing dangerous animals within the borders. Even getting those dangerous animals in the first place, though, is an upgrade path you have to take. And to do that, you'll have to sacrifice getting something else from one of the other giants that could help you even more in prospering these villages. So if you put all these elements together, it becomes quite a challenge to properly manage it all. And for an even greater challenge, managing multiple villages at a time can be extremely difficult. The giants are pretty slow moving, and you'll often need a majority, if not all of them, for proper combination of abilities to create the best possible environment for a certain village. The game has an excellent and unique art style, and I love its music, but most of that is pretty soon forgotten in the mess of organizing a planet and getting addicted while doing so. While the early game is simple enough, it gets more and more complex, deeper and deeper as you go on. As you unlock all the abilities the giants have by completing various projects in the village. When you complete a project, it will actually give an ambassador from the village that will strengthen your giant. You can actually give the ambassador to any of your giants, and that will upgrade them in a certain way. And as you go one way or another, the possibilities for new plants, minerals, and animals, and the proper combination of all three gets very wide. How this actually plays out in terms of the actual game is, well, you have a nice tutorial to show you the basics, and then the main mode, which is an era. At first, you can only play a 30-minute game before the giants go back to sleep, And then after achieving certain objectives, such as get a village to this amount of prosperity, or finish the era with a total amount of prosperity, or only have one village, or have 3 villages. It's basically an achievement system, and after a certain amount of achievements, you go to the next game mode, which is an hour-long era, and then a 2-hour-long era. Although the actual gameplay might be even longer than that, considering you can pause at any time and may have to in order to play in the best possible way. There's also a free play mode with no limits on it, but I think the time game really does fit the style of the game. Either way, Reus, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce the word, is addicting to be sure. I'd say in terms of any criticism, I could say that the early stage can get a little too repetitive, but that's almost just a staple of the genre. Also, you could say the giants just move too slow, but as I already mentioned earlier, I think that actually helps the game. So I think any kind of criticism you can offer about the game is almost purely subjective. And while the game isn't for everyone, I'd say anyone that really likes God games, and most people that don't, will really enjoy this game. Overall, it's just very charming and unique in a lot of ways. It's just an awesome little God game that I have to recommend. And that is about all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Maple Dungeons, and I will see you next time.